What is up, Reds? Welcome to the tactical breakdown, the opposition breakdown of Crystal Palace versus Liverpool. Crystal Palace take on Liverpool, or I should say Liverpool take on Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park tomorrow. Early match for me. It's going to be I think it's going to be at 7:30 in the morning. It's going to be an early match, but I'm pumped for it. I think it's the first match of the season at 7:30 for us. Maybe the second, but I'm pumped. We're going to get into a lot of stuff today. So really, we're going to talk about some injury, the team news as well. Thiago's back in training, but he's still not quite going to be ready for the game. But more importantly, we're going to talk about Crystal Palace's tactics. Now, Roy Hodgson has done, although he wasn't great with Liverpool, he's done an excellent job with Crystal Palace over the past few seasons, namely the organization and the discipline that they play with and their style. So we'll get into talking about that, what we need to look out for, how they differ from Tottenham. And as well, guys, if you enjoy these opposition breakdowns, hit that thumbs up button. It helps YouTube push it out to more Liverpool fans. It also lets me know that you enjoy it. And of course, throughout the breakdown, leave your thoughts in the chat. Let's get into it, Reds. All right. So let's look at what we're going up against, right? Crystal Palace, diehard 4-4-2 squad, right? They live and die with the 4-4-2. Sometimes those top two can be a little staggered, right? Maybe with Ayew playing in behind Zaha or someone else up there, Benteke forward, Zaha in behind. They kind of mix it up a little bit. But normally they go two banks of four, all right? And they sit deep and they absorb the pressure and they're good at doing it, okay? So let's look first off, before we get into the actual tactical breakdown, let's look at the team news that I was talking about before. Okay, show my screen with you guys here, or share, excuse me. So some interesting stats, right? We'll get into those in a second. Actually, Crystal Palace, so two former Liverpool players, Christian Benteke and Sakho, out. Christian Benteke, of course, was sent off with 2 yellows against, I believe it was West Ham last match, so he will be suspended. And then, of course, Mamadou Sakho out with a calf injury. And Liverpool, it only says here Thiago, James Milner, and Xherdan Shaqiri are out, but we know Jota, Gomez, Van Dijk, Tsimikas, I have a question mark by because I think he's still out, but I'm not positive. He could be out for a little bit. But then, like I mentioned, Milner, Shaqiri, and Thiago. So, fun facts that you see here, okay? Crystal Palace have kept only 1 clean sheet in the Premier League this season, and actually in their last 21 league outings, which was a 1-0 win over Southampton in the opening game of this season, which is pretty impressive considering the form Southampton are in, okay? Now, going up against Liverpool, they have not kept a clean sheet against LFC since they came back into the Premier League in 2013. That's pretty interesting, okay? It's pretty interesting because when they come to Anfield, we always kind of have this what are they going to do? They may be a problem for us. And they proved in the past, they've beaten us at Anfield a couple times in the last decade. They've beaten us a couple times. I know they beat us in Gerrard's last game in a Liverpool uniform. So that's where my mind always goes. But they've lost 6 in a row against us. So if we look at current form, we're good to go, right? So let me bring you guys some more stuff here, right? If we go to the squads, I mentioned 4-4-2 is what they normally go with. They were the ones who signed Jack Butland. Okay, they obviously have some other guys in there, but their guy at the back is Guaita. He's awesome for them. He's probably the best keeper they've had in the past decade, to be honest with you, okay? But what we need to worry about is their system. Their 4-4-2 system works not only because Roy Hodgson has a very disciplined side, but he also has players that are able to dictate what everyone does, okay? Namely, we're looking at players like Gary Cahill at the back, okay? Our guy, Milivojevic in the midfield, usually captains the side. He's kind of been second fiddle this season, but to James McArthur and James McCarthy, both great in the midfield spot. And then that new signing, Eze from Queen's Park Rangers, I think that's how you say it, he's been good as well, adding a little more creativity on that left side of the field where they like to go, which I'll get into in a minute. But Cheikhou Kouyaté has made his way back to the center back spot this season. Now, I'm not positive if that's because he's getting older and maybe Hodgson's like, play at the back, or if they're doing it out of necessity, similar to how we're doing it. But he's been very consistent at the back for them. Okay, but their midfield is where this ticks. So let's get into the formation. 4-4-2, 2 low blocks. What they like to do that's different from how we talked about Tottenham last time. They shift with the ball, okay? They keep about 8 men behind the ball at a time, but they shift with the ball and they close off lanes, as opposed to Tottenham where they're keeping everyone behind the ball and they're clearing it out. What And of course, they try to play on the counterattack as well, similar to Tottenham. But the difference being Tottenham likes to play with a hold-up striker on the counterattack. Crystal Palace, strictly a counterattacking team with no hold-up play. Just get it and go. That's their idea. So, namely, when they win back possession after absorbing pressure, they, like to get it forward with just a few passes, okay? And I have some statistics that show that I'll talk about in a minute. And they like to get it out to the left side. So if they win it back on the near side of the field or the right side of the field, they will switch play to get it over to that more dangerous left side, i.e. Zaha's over there. They got Eze over there now as well. But what my point that I was talking about with these statistics here, if we look at their front guys, okay, namely we look at Zaha, Ayew, Townsend, Schlupp, and now Eze, they're all averaging less than 20 passes per game. Now, that just goes to show that they're not in possession of the ball, one, but two, even on the break, they're making one pass at most, two passes at most to try to just break and get a goal. Zaha, their speed guy, that's what they try to do. So the difference being Mourinho is a tactician legend when it comes to this, parking the bus, okay? Roy Hodgson has a very organized, and to be fair, we need to give him the respect he deserves because he's held Crystal Palace a steady side with this system, right? So we got to be conscious of that. So before I move forward, let me go back into the chat and see what's up to some people. Downturn Abby, Tony Madden, and Liz Shana. What is up, everyone? Welcome to the chat. And Niall Ma as well. That's a new name. Haven't seen you before, but welcome. Glad to have you guys. So let's go back here. Again, really the person I'm worried about is Wilfried Zaha, okay? He's been scoring way more this season than he was last season, okay? And really, I haven't seen Batchwise play, maybe played once. Benteke, like I said, he's suspended. So I think they're going to go with Jordan Ayew and Zaha up front. I'd be surprised if they didn't go with anyone else, right? So we have to worry about breaking them down. As we've shown in this past game, we should worry about the counterattack. Right? We should worry about the counterattack, especially when they have speed like Zaha. Zaha is their son, right? But we have shown that we're able to, over time, break it down, right? We rotate players. We filter players in. We switch positions, right? We have Henderson coming to right back, to left back. We have Curtis Jones dropping deep. We have every front three player switching sides, switching lanes, dropping back deep. We try to pull their defenders into midfield to make some space. But where we're going to have a challenge is with this system because they don't sit back and absorb. They shift with the ball and deny space wherever we go. So that's the big thing, okay? But let's go into the stats between the two teams, okay? Talked a little bit about them before, but the recent meetings, right? The recent meetings we're looking at, a 4-0 win against Crystal Palace, okay? In June of last season, okay? Everyone enjoyed that game. It was a great game. I believe, it was at Anfield. This one is going to be at Selhurst Park. We've beaten them before, 3-0 at Selhurst Park. You see here, we beat them 2-1 last season. Maybe it was 2-0. That's the one I'm thinking of. But another 4-3 win, 2-0 win, and then a 2-1 win. So everything's in our favor. But the form guide, okay? It doesn't look like they're doing that well, right? With losses to Newcastle and Burnley. And Burnley have been struggling this year. But Burnley, arguably, are a more disciplined side at their style of play than Crystal Palace is at theirs, okay? The main difference being Burnley likes to use those wide guys instead of counterattacking. They like to use those wide guys to swing balls into the box, and Chris Wood and whoever else is up there gets ahead on it. That's their style of play, but they still do the 4-4-2 as well. Very similar to Burnley, okay? So clearly Burnley played it better that game. But the last two matches is what we need to look out for, okay? Roy Hodgson's side have been very disciplined in their 1-1 draws against Spurs and West Ham, okay? Both impressive performances as well. Both games, West Ham, I think that was the bicycle kick. If there was no bicycle kick in that game, Crystal Palace wins the match, right? Season so far, Crystal Palace are a stapled on mid-table team. That's who they are. That's who Roy Hodgson has made this squad. And to his credit, he's done a good job. We have to give it to him. Okay? The players are buying in. They have good leaders in the middle of the field to drive home this tactic, right? But right now they're at 12. They have 5 wins, 3 draws, and 5 losses. As you look at Liverpool, 8-4-1, okay? And this is interesting, okay? 1.46 goals per match for Crystal Palace. So that counterattacking game is clearly working for him, okay? Clearly working for him. Maybe not to the best it should be, given the talent they have on the team, in my opinion. I think they have a lot of talent. Maybe not so much at the back, but through the midfield and up front, I think they have relatively good talent. And then right now we're looking at 2.23, right? We're coming into our own with the attacking this season. We're settling down, and more so on the defensive end, we're settling down. Even without Van Dijk and Gomez, we're looking really good based on that 1.46. I'd like it to be lower, of course, but we have the outliers, namely Aston Villa, okay? Chances created per match. This is pretty interesting. They're 1.38 chances created, and the reason is because their counterattack is so quick that they're going to create chances, okay? It doesn't matter if the defense stops it, whoever they're playing, they're going to create chances on the counterattack because it is so quick, because they switch the ball across the field so often, okay? They make space in between the defense. And if we're not careful, we're going to be caught out like against Tottenham last match, where Son basically just on the break broke through our midfield lines. Lo Celso had a great through ball to Son, and Son finished. We got to be careful of that. They did lose. Oh, no, that's a win. I was like, wait a minute. They lost to West Brom now. They beat West Brom 5-1. Doesn't really say too much to me personally. I think they should win that game by a lot. But if you did watch the Crystal Palace-Chelsea match, they just were checked out. They were not playing their style of play. That was at Stamford Bridge. And that just wasn't them. That's not who they are. They'll occasionally have games like that, right? But they are overall disciplined in their play. Now, really, the only one, like I said, James McArthur having a great season, okay? Andros Townsend as well in that midfield spot, 35 tackles per game, or total, James McCarthy, 35 tackles, okay? But we own everything else with the exception of Wilfried Zaha with the 7 Premier League goals. Wilfried Zaha's in good form this season. He's given us problems in the past, and whoever is on that right side, Roy Hodgson, is going to try to exploit it because that's their style. That's what I was talking about before. If they win the ball on the right side in their half, they immediately, not every time, but I did go back and watch some highlights to confirm it, they do. They switch play to that left side, and they break quickly and try to expose that side. So whoever's playing in midfield on that side, whether it's Henderson, Wijnaldum, Jones, whoever's over there, okay, they're going to need to help out the right back, whoever that may be, if it's Nico, if it's Trent, because they're going to be obviously pushing forward like we do. And if they get exposed, right, and they do a quick 1-2 break, and they're on the break with no one back there, with Henderson backtracking and Trent backtracking, and it's only maybe Matip gets the start, but let's just say it's Williams or Phillips or someone like that. We don't want to be chasing the counterattack. We want to have players behind the counterattack because everyone can agree against Tottenham, when they were on the break and we were chasing it, that's when they looked dangerous, and they broke through our lines a couple of times, okay? Even Kane's chip when he tried to chip Allison, even though that wasn't a counterattack. But Bergwijn broke through our lines. Kane broke through our lines. I mean, we have to be disciplined in that aspect, and we can't push up too high. But Salah, under the radar with 11 goals. It's unbelievable. People don't talk about how good he is. He has 11 goals this season. And, of course, our star is out injured, Diogo Jota, with 5. But Andrew Robertson, 4 Premier League assists. He leads the squad in assists from left back. Unbelievable. With Roberto Firmino with those 2 assists. And then, of course, this new guy from QPR who's been impressing over there at Crystal Palace, Eze. I'm not sure how to pronounce his first name. Let me know. All right. And then, of course, passes Andrew Robertson. So we like to play on both sides of the field. They like to play on the left side of the field. So the right side, or going left, right. So our right side guys have to be diligent there. Let's look at previous matchups for them. Okay. So I want to go up here and I want to show you guys how they're lining up against other squads. Okay. We'll look at namely the last 2 or 3 matches. Okay. So Spurs and West Ham, they've played pretty well against them. Okay, let me go back to the chat here, say what's up to my people. Liz, let Steven pin. Yeah, Steve's working. I gotta keep the channel running here. All right, but Ox and Nabi are available. That's right, Ox and Nabi are available. They're not out as well, so we could see them in the midfield. We have seen in the past Ox and Nabi, they shine against Crystal Palace. Usually, Klopp puts them in the midfield. All right. And let's see what else we got in here. Abdul G, what is up? I expect a tight game. We tend to struggle with early kickoffs, and our away form has been bad. Yeah, our away form hasn't been the greatest. I'll agree with you there. Ian Richards saying this would be a perfect game for Thiago Shame he's not quite ready yet. Yeah, not quite. He does have those 2 training sessions that he needs to get in. But yeah, this Eze Townsend Zaha connection, it's serious. It's serious. They're playing extremely well this season on the counterattack. It's pretty deadly. And to be fair, they're organized at the back too. It's going to be tough to score on them, and because Guaita is good. Guaita pretty much saved the point for them last match against West Ham. He played extremely well. So let's go back to these matches here, okay? Let's look at West Ham first. You're going to see a 4-4-2 right off the bat. I already know it. All right, let's go. 4-4-2. Bingo. Joel Ward, Patrick Van Aanholt, Scott Dan, and Cheku Kouyaté has been starting at the back. Cheku Kouyaté has been very good in that back spot, as well as Scott Dan. All right. Luka Milivojevic, their captain, in the midfield. James MacArthur, again, solid. And Eze in the midfield. Andros Townsend has that whip on him with the left foot. These midfielders, this 4-4-2 that you see over here, guys, is no joke, right? Even if we go on to win the match, right? Even if we win a comfortable win, right? I'm still looking at this, and Roy Hodgson has a system here, and the players are following it. And to be fair, they're doing pretty well. I mean, 12th in the table, but I just think they're doing well. Okay, Christian Benteke, like I said, he's got a red card. So Wilfried Zaha is going to be who we need to mark. I say, I don't know. Since it's on the left side, or technically the right side, depending on how you look at it, Matip's got to shut him down. But I also think Henderson's going to need to support the right back. Hopefully Trent has a good game against him. Trent has a good game against him. But let's look at the stats of this game. We'll break it down so you guys can see, okay? Possession was virtually even, and this is one of those games where West Ham they're going to be open at the back, right? West Ham give up goals. That's what's going to happen. But overall, the game was dead even. I mean, it was a good matchup. Both teams very similar in terms of ability. I think West Ham should be a little bit better. But everything here screams a perfectly even game, everything. So I don't want to talk about that too much, but I just want you guys to see the 4-4-2 is standard. They don't really go to any other formation. I may have seen one time where they've switched to like a 4-2-3-1. And even then, I think it's because Benteke was up there. But let's go to the other game where they were going up against Spurs, and they did an excellent job of holding Spurs to that draw because Spurs should have won this game, to be fair. Okay. Again, let's go to the lineups first. You guys see 4-4-2, solid. Nathaniel Klein been getting some play. I'm very happy for him that he's getting this play at right back. I think he deserves it. Again, midfield, a lot of players mentioned that he can rotate. Okay. And he likes to do this because sometimes the strikers drop in and help out the midfield. I know he likes to have 8 people behind the ball at all times and keep those 2 forward for the outlet passes, but he does like to rotate, okay? You look at Schlupp. He likes to rotate Schlupp with Andros Townsend, all right? You notice Eze has been a staple on that left side, but you notice Jay MacArthur's in there. You're still on the bench. You're looking at our boy McCarthy as well as Townsend, right? So he has options to rotate. Okay. And like I said, he subbed on Andros Townsend in the 89th minute. Riedewald, I don't know too much about this guy. I think he's new, maybe he came back from loan. I'm not positive. And Jordan Ayew, if Benteke's not playing, I'm telling you, Ayew or Batshuayi is going to play. And that's what's going to happen. So, and Tottenham, again, 4-2-3-1. Let's go to the stats of the game, okay? Tottenham, of course, a game against, I can't talk today, a game against Crystal Palace. They are going to go on the offensive. They're not going to sit back and absorb pressure, and that's why you see this possession is lopsided, okay, in Tottenham's favor. All right? Again, fairly even, okay, because both teams are essentially sit back and absorb pressure attacking teams. But Tottenham, with more possession, probably tried to play a possession-style game knowing they could get away with it, right? So everything here is even. Shots on target, 5-6. Shots, 16-14. Touches, about the same. Passes, about the same. A little bit less from Crystal Palace's standpoint. But again, that comes back to the quick breaks that Crystal Palace like to do. They don't play hold-up play football like Tottenham do. They're going to get the ball out, and they're going to run with it, okay? Either Zaha or whoever's there, maybe some 1-2 passes just to break through the midfield. Okay, clearances. Crystal Palace, again, had to absorb a lot of pressure. That goes back to the possession. 26 clearances to Tottenham Hotspur's 12. Okay, corner 7-4. Again, you're looking at a fairly even game here, and thus it ended in a draw. Okay. Now let's go back to some other matches, some lopsided ones, and see what went wrong. Okay. I'm going to go to the Chelsea one that they ended up losing, and then we'll look at the West Brom match. Okay. So actually, let's just look at the West Brom match first since it's here. So Crystal Palace ended up winning. Okay. And if we go to the lineups, let's look at who they had. Okay. Of course, Guaita in there. Okay. They had a quick back line. Okay. They went with our athletic back line, I should say. Nathaniel Klein is going to push forward on that right side. Okay. Midfield, they went with a very standard midfield. Schlupp, Eze, MacArthur, Milivojevic, classic. And then Wilfried Zaha ended up getting 2 goals in this game. Christian Benteke ended up getting 2 goals. So again, this game played exactly into what they want to do. Sit back, win the ball. When you win it, get it forward quickly to one of these runners and then finish. And that's what happened. And they were good at it, obviously, against a West Brom team that is just coming up, and they're playing a 3-4-1-2 formation. I don't know anything about that formation. I've never used it I've never done anything with that formation, to be fair. And now let's look at the stats, right? And this is another crazy thing. Crystal Palace, this plays into the idea that they did sit back and absorb a little bit. The possession is dead even, but when you look at the score, every chance they got on the counterattack, they were going to score, okay? And again, passes were dead even. Everything here is dead even because this game statistically looks dead even, but Crystal Palace obviously converted their chances. West Brom didn't because West Brom isn't good at sitting back. That's not their system, okay? They may try to do it, but they're not good at it. Crystal Palace is used to it, so they can go to a West Brom and they can beat them 5-1, right? Corners fairly even, 6-4, right? Fouls, pretty physical game. Again, you see it here. Crystal Palace, the game is even, but ultimately their tactics, Roy Hodgson's tactics, worked. And look at the scoreline. Look at the scoreline, Reds. Now let's go look at the Chelsea match. This is the one I'm really interested to see. I haven't looked at this one yet, okay? But I watched the match, and Crystal Palace just didn't even look like themselves. That's because it was before an international break. That's why. Everyone was checked out. It was 4-0, right? Let's go to the lineups here. All right. Joel Ward at the back, Tyreek. Oh, here we go. So they were going with a back line that wasn't going to push forward. Okay. You don't see Van Aanholt in here. You don't see Nathaniel Klein. These are players that are just going to sit and absorb pressure. Same thing here. Milivojevic didn't play. I don't know if he was injured or not, but you have Andros Townsend, James MacArthur, James McCarthy, and Eze. All right. And then again, those quick up top. They don't have time for Heke or anything like that. Okay. They need up there quickly, and you can do that as well as Wilfried Zaha, right? Wilfried Zaha actually captained the side this game. Maybe why they lost 4-0. I don't know. I'm just throwing stuff out there, okay? So you see the lineup there. Let's go to the stats, okay? Again, Crystal Palace were just hammered in their own half. 71-30, or excuse me, 71-29, okay? Crystal Palace had no shots on target. That is one thing that really rings home from watching the game. Crystal Palace could not get out of their own half. They just couldn't. They didn't have the players to feed the ball forward, and they didn't have the players to receive it, okay? I know Zaha played, but Milivojevic wasn't in there. They had the 2 McCarthy-MacArthur guys who, I don't know why. It wasn't working out. Chelsea's midfield just overran this game. And then if you look at some of the stats, okay, Chelsea, interestingly, had 14 clearances, but Crystal Palace only managed 0 shots on target. So that's pretty interesting. And Crystal Palace had nearly the same amount with 15 clearances. The passes thing is interesting to me as well. Only 280 passes for Crystal Palace, 707, and then touches, about half of Chelsea's touches, okay? Corners, 5 corners for Crystal Palace, and 8 for Chelsea. So clearly Crystal Palace were playing on the break, winning some corners, but they just couldn't get any shots on target. So that's what I take from that game, okay? So going into this game, it seems like they're fairly consistent. They're fairly consistent in terms of how they play. There's no switch up. You know, Jose Mourinho, he would switch to a 4-3-3 at times, but Crystal Palace is consistently with that 4-4-2. He rotates the players a lot more, though. And I think Milivojevic will play. I think Eze will play, Zaha, things like that. But let me know what you guys think. Let's go ahead back up into the chat here. Abdul saying, I already read that one. Hey, Rashawn saying, imagine the scenes when we'll have Jota, Van Dijk, and Thiago back. Man, I'm imagining, and it's great. I'm liking it. Marika, this is going to be a very difficult match. It is. It's always difficult, just like Tottenham was difficult. It's always difficult to play a disciplined side. Yes, Shayna, I want to see Bobby score. Good God, I want to see Bobby score. Liz saying, I hope Bobby scores a belter. Absolutely. Liz Golden again, Montes dual goal. Tony Madden saying, I think Bobby stands a good chance to get through and score. He's got the taste now. That's right. And that's all you need as a football player, right? All you need is just one goal to get your confidence back, and you're all set. Now, it is away from home. I don't think that'll play into it. What I do think is going to be interesting is who Klopp decides to go with in the midfield. In years past, he's gone with Naby in the midfield. We've seen Ox play at Crystal Palace. I don't think he's gone with a Wijnaldum, Henderson, Fabinho, even though Fabinho's not going to play midfield. I don't think he's gone with that. The thing for me is we do need some creativity in that midfield, whether that comes from Jones, who's been showing he can absolutely be creative in the midfield, whether it comes from Henderson and Wijnaldum, we don't know. Does Klopp throw in Keita because he's worried about the 4-4-2? He clearly wasn't worried about Mourinho sitting back and having Keita in there. So I think even though it's a little bit of a different style, meaning that 4-4-2, those two blocks shift with the ball as opposed to dropping back, I think Klopp will just go with Jones and Wijnaldum and Henderson in the midfield. Let me know what you guys think in the chat. It's really interesting when you look at some of the things here about Crystal Palace in terms of who's important for them, right? Cheku Kouyaté, who they got from West Ham, has turned out to be an unbelievably important player for him. Guaita, unbelievable goalkeeper for them. I have no idea where the guy came from. I just know that it was either this year or last year. I think he came in last year, and he's been unbelievable for him. Milivojevic is their leader, right? Zaha still there. Don't know how they're keeping Zaha there. I don't know if people don't want him, but Crystal Palace just somehow are managing to keep it going. Do you guys remember? Do you remember it was 2 or 3 seasons ago? Maybe it was last season. I don't know. I think it was 2 seasons ago, though. Crystal Palace started off, and the first 9 games, they didn't have a point. Do y'all remember that? I think it was the first 8 or 9 games. They couldn't get a point. And you're thinking to yourself, this is the year. Crystal Palace are going down. And they don't. Roy Hodgson has done very well with this side, I think. I really do think he's done well. So, lineup for them, I think they go with the back line of sitting deep. So similar to what they went for against our boys, was it Chelsea? I think they went with this lineup against Chelsea. But yeah, I think this is what we're looking at. Take out Tyreek Mitchell and maybe put in, and Sacco, of course, because Sacco's not playing. But I think they end up going with, instead of those two, I think they're going to go with Scott Dan at the back, right? They'll put Scott Dan in there, and maybe they'll put, I don't know. It's going to be tough to say. I think they definitely go Joel Ward, Kouyaté. I wouldn't be surprised if they put Nathaniel Klein in there, but Nathaniel Klein's known for going forward, and I just don't know if he's going to be that. I don't know if he's going to fit tactically for what Roy Hodgson wants to do in this match. So I think what we're looking at is a Joel Ward, Kouyaté, probably, what's that guy's name? Scott Dan. That's right. And then you think what's the Dutch guy's name? I keep forgetting that Dutch guy's name. Van Aanholt. I think Van Aanholt will be back there as well. And then the midfield, I think you take out James McCarthy and you go with exactly what he has right here. So Andros Townsend on the right side, Eze on the left side, and then you're looking at James McArthur and Milivojevic. I'm almost positive, and then these two are going to stay. That's what I would go with. Of course, I'm not an expert on Crystal Palace or anything, but that's honestly, that's just what I would go with. That's what I would go with. Let's see what we got in the chat here. Tony going with Henderson, Jones, and Ox. Okay. And in the midfield, giving Wijnaldum a rest. Doesn't he deserve it, Tony? Wijnaldum 100% deserves a rest. He really does. Shayna saying, Curtis Jones kept getting better. He was amazing against Spurs and my man of the match. That's one of the things I've been noticing about some of our matches recently. I cannot pick a man of the match. I just can't do it. Everyone is so good. Personally, my man of the match was Reece Williams. I think he won every header. You know, he did have that one mess up, the flick on where Bergwijn got a chance, but I forgot about that already. But yeah, Curtis Jones is every single game, guys. He's been getting incredible. Hope we don't see another Fulham strike. Yeah, you know, don't put it past Crystal Palace to nick one here, guys. Crystal Palace may put one or two in the goal. I mean, if we go back to the previous matches, right? If I want to go to the Liverpool Crystal Palace previous matchups, but I have to find the match first on the homepage. So yeah, we'll go here. Oh, I didn't mean to hit that. This is the benefit of doing everything live. You guys get to see everything in real time. And if I mess up, it's there. So yeah, so the last matches, right? At Anfield, 4-0, destroyed them. But then at Selhurst Park in November of that season, 2-1, right? Competitive match, of course. I'm trying to remember back to that one. Who scored? Let me go into that match. I want to see who scored that match, see if I can remember anything from it. And we can also look at some of the stats here. It was Bobby Firmino's late goal. Let's go. Of course it was. What a legend. All right. Match stats, 60-40 exactly. Overall, an even match. I mean, pretty even. We have more. We have more in most areas with the exception of shots, actually, which is pretty interesting. But lineups, see what Klopp went with, right? Wow, Dejan. There's a blast from the past right there, even though it's not that far back. He went with Trent and Robbo. Oh, Van Dijk, I miss you, buddy. I miss you. And look at that midfield. That midfield is amazing. And then, of course, he went with Ox as a forward in this game. Was Salah out? Was Salah out in this game? No, I don't think he was. He was a substitute. Huh, that's interesting. But anyways, this is another example of what I was talking about, okay? 4-4-2 is Roy Hodgson's system. Look at this right here, 4-5-1, right? It comes out of nowhere, and I think this is just adding one extra guy behind the ball, right? I mean, that's ultimately what his system is anyway. The two banks of four will sit deep, and then occasionally the staggered striker will drop in when there's a little extra support needed. But here, he just said, we're not even doing that. Just one guy up top, everyone else behind the ball. And, I guess, let's see when Roberto scored. It looks, they scored in the 82nd minute. Right, and then we scored in the 85th. So it's interesting stuff there. And this was Wilfred Zaha from Andros Townsend. So I'm assuming on the break. So again, they're just going to wait for their opportunity to strike. And I think we just have to be diligent. We have to be very diligent at the back. Let's go back to the chat and see what we got. Mohammed Khalif saying, hope we don't see him. Oh, he already said that. I don't see them scoring from open play, maybe a corner. Yeah, see, that's the thing. I feel like they won't score from a corner. I feel like if they do score, it's going to be on the counterattack. But again, I could be wrong. I could get this whole thing wrong. But that's the beauty of breaking it down. Like, I get to go back and I get to watch how they play, right? I get to read articles on Roy Hodgson, see how his style of play. And then what's crazy is I'm like, yeah, it's a 4-4-2. It's set on. That's what he's going to do. You go back and you look at the when he played against us, it's a 4-5-1, right? And I don't think I was showing this to you guys, so I apologize about that. But there's a 4-5-1. Like, what is going on? And it looks like Benteke was up top. I think he's number 9 on their squad. No, Jordan Ayew is. So Jordan Ayew was playing up top. And okay, so technically it was a 4-3-2-1, but he just classified it as a 5 with these guys dropping in between the midfielders to help out. So actually, there's a good chance he'll go with that formation again as well. But Cheku Kouyaté last season was playing in the midfield. This season, he has filtered back. So it's going to be an interesting match. I like playing Crystal Palace. I do. I think Crystal Palace are an underrated squad. I'm not saying I like them or anything, but I think they're an underrated squad in terms of their discipline. We got JK135 in the chat. What is up? Everyone, right now, score predictions, because this is technically a match preview as well. Score predictions in the chat as well as lineup predictions. While we look at some of the other stuff here. Their organization is what's going to be either going to get them a point. I don't think they'll win the match, but it's either going to get them a point or it's either going to lose them the game, because either they're going to be so exhausted from defending the entire game that we're going to break them down, right? We're getting better at that too. We're getting better at, sometimes we can't score from open play. Sometimes we need an amazing header from Bobby to win the game. So I think in the past, though, we've been able to break them down playing out from the back, because sometimes they do choose to press. I just don't know if this is one of those games. Tony Madden, of course, no score prediction. I love it. Mohammed Khalif, 3-0 to Liverpool. Liz going 3-0 to LFC. I love it. Absolutely love it. And For the back, do y'all think Matip plays? Do you think Klopp gives Matip the nod? I don't know. I don't know if he does because Matip was out with the back spasms. I know he was back in training, but I don't know. I don't know if I would do it. I don't know if I would rush him back yet. JK 135, 3-1. Palace have been impressive at times, but if we get Thiago back, it's going to be too much for them. Yeah, no, I agree, but Thiago's not playing. There's a 99% chance. No, there's a 1% chance. I didn't want to say that backwards. There's a 1% chance he plays tomorrow, and I only say that because of the article released in the Liverpool Echo saying that Klopp still wants him to get 2 full training sessions in before he plays. So I don't think Thiago plays. I think Henderson plays. I think Jones and maybe Ox. Or does Wijnaldum get a rest? Who knows? I've only gotten one lineup prediction right ever since I started doing the channel. I know Tony's pretty good at predicting the lineup, though. I know that. Norway in the chat. Nothing But Reds is worldwide. I absolutely love it. How is everybody doing? Man, this is awesome. So, yeah. So it's pretty interesting. But, guys, if no one's got anything in terms of lineup predictions in the chat, that's all I got for you. Oh, wait, we got Liz coming in. I think Fabinho starts. Matip will have lots of chances coming up during the holiday season. He does. Yeah, take it easy. That's what I'm saying. Take it easy on Matip, right? He's good when he's good, and when he's not, he's injured, right? I mean, don't rush him back when we're still performing. Fabinho is doing a job and a half at the back, guys. He really is unbelievable. And yeah, maybe available for Southampton. That would be a good match to be available for. But guys, I do want to let everyone know on the channel members page, I will be doing a video upcoming either tomorrow or this weekend sometime. I'll be doing a video on how I met Klopp. It's going to be a pretty interesting video, so it'll be available to channel members. So if you want to see that video and you're not a channel member, go and check out the channel membership options. And if you're interested in that, but basically it's a pretty cool story. I traveled to Michigan to watch the Liverpool Man United game, and the entire thing is just cool. Like, it's not like a normal, like, hey, I set up this time to meet him and I met him. It's like I went out of my way with my buddy. It's a good story. You guys might want to hear it. I think most of the people who are members are going to really enjoy it. So if you're not a channel member already and you want to see that, make sure you check out the channel membership. There's a link down in the description that will take you to the page. Or if you go to the home page, you can click the join button and check it out that way. Hope we get a win from Shayna. No score prediction for me. I feel like we're starting this movement, and I feel like it started with like Tony and other people who don't put their prediction. We're starting this movement where everyone's superstitious and will never have score predictions in the chat. Maybe one day when people are in the chat and they put a score prediction, we just kick them out. No, I'm just kidding. But that would be pretty funny. Ian Richards saying 3-1 Reds, Salamane, Jones. God, I want Jones to get one. Tony Madden, lineup. Oop, one more. Yes, I will be doing a watch along tomorrow. It may be cut just a tad short. I don't think it will. I feel like I won't do that. I think I'll watch the whole thing through. But immediately after it's done, I got to go. So I will be doing one, though. Tony going Allison, Trent, Matip, and Fabinho. So Matip gets the start. Robertson, Jones, Henderson, Ox. Okay, I want to see Ox, man. Give Ox some playing time. Give Ox some playing time. I'm pumped for that. Reds, I cannot wait for tomorrow. I'll be doing the watch along. Good question, Liz. I'll be doing the watch along. We'll probably go live about 7:20 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow, which is going to be 12:20 for everyone over there in the UK. And then, of course, everyone else around the world will be a little later. So make sure you tune in for that. I'm pumped for the match tomorrow, Reds. And stay tuned for, again, check out the channel memberships if you want to see the story of how I met Klopp. And, of course, be on the lookout for the Sunday Summary, Reds. And until then,